Have you ever looked at a perfectly normal patch of ground, a street, a park, a backyard, and truly considered what lies beneath? We walk on it, we drive on it, we build our entire lives on it. We take the solid ground beneath our feet for granted. But what if I told you that in many places across the United States, that solid ground is nothing more than a thin, fragile crust over a hidden, dissolving world? What if a single heavy rainfall could be the final straw, triggering a catastrophe that swallows cars, homes, and entire city blocks? This isn't science fiction. This is the very real, very terrifying phenomenon of sinkholes. And understanding them means seeing the world in a completely new and slightly more nervous light. The story of a sinkhole isn't one of a sudden freak event. It's a slow, quiet, and relentless geological process that can unfold over hundreds, even thousands of years, all while we go about our daily lives on the surface. To truly grasp it, you have to go beneath the asphalt and the topsoil, past the bedrock and into a hidden world of porous, soluble rock. We're talking about limestone, gypsum, and other carbonate rocks that form what geologists call karst topography. This is the secret ingredient for sinkholes. In places like Florida, Pennsylvania, and parts of Texas, these formations are the dominant geological feature. The myth is that sinkholes are caused by random seismic activity or a mysterious, inexplicable force. The reality, it's a simple chemical reaction. Rainwater, as it falls, absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and the soil, turning it into a weak carbonic acid. This isn't a strong industrial acid. It's just powerful enough to slowly, almost imperceptibly dissolve the soluble bedrock. Think of it like a slow geological Alka-Seltzer. Over time, this acid eats away at the rock along its fractures and cracks, carving out a subterranean network of voids, conduits, and even massive underground caves. The surface might look completely stable, but underneath, a fragile, hollowed-out landscape is taking shape, waiting for the right, or rather, the wrong moment to give way. The next time you see a heavy downpour, you might not just be thinking about traffic. You might be wondering how much that water is dissolving what lies below. And that brings us to the first type of sinkhole, the most common one, and a perfect example of this slow, insidious process, the cover subsidence sinkhole. The myth here is that these holes appear out of nowhere. The truth is, they're a result of a gradual, almost unnoticeable process. Picture this. A layer of loose, sandy sediment sits on top of a dissolving limestone bedrock. As the bedrock below is eaten away, a small space or cavity forms. The sandy material above, lacking the cohesive strength of clay, starts to spool or trickle down into the tiny cracks and voids. It's like pouring sand through a sieve. This slow, continuous trickle creates a subtle, bowl-shaped depression on the surface. Most people won't even notice it, or they'll think it's just a slight dip in the ground. But over years or decades, that bowl grows wider and deeper. These sinkholes rarely cause catastrophic collapses, which is why you don't see them on the news as often. But they are a constant, visible reminder of the powerful dissolution happening beneath our feet. For urban planners and civil engineers, they're a massive headache, requiring constant monitoring and filling. They're a perfect illustration of how what appears to be a solid landscape is, in fact, a dynamic and ever-changing system. And if this is the slow and steady variety, you can only imagine what the more dramatic ones are like. Now let's talk about the one that truly captures our collective fear, the cover collapse sinkhole. The myth is that these are caused by faults in the earth or some other vague seismic explanation. The reality is that they are the result of a delicate underground balancing act gone horribly wrong. This type of sinkhole happens in areas where the soluble bedrock is covered by a more cohesive, sturdy layer, like a mix of clay and soil. The dissolving process still happens below, but instead of the ground trickling down, the strong clay layer holds its shape, forming a kind of natural underground dome or arch. This arch gets bigger and bigger, a hidden air pocket growing in size. The surface gives no indication of the danger below. Everything looks fine. But there's a tipping point, where that dome can no longer support its own weight. It's a bit like a balloon that keeps inflating until it pops. The triggering event is often a significant change in the water table, such as a major drought followed by heavy rainfall, or even human activities like heavy pumping of groundwater. When the water table drops, the buoyant support for the clay dome is removed, and when rain saturates the soil, the added weight can be just enough to break the camel's back. The collapse is sudden, dramatic, and catastrophic, opening up a gaping hole in a matter of minutes or even seconds. It's a chilling example of a hidden truth being revealed with devastating force. So how can human activity, a factor so often blamed for a natural disaster, actually trigger these events? The myth is that this is a natural process beyond our control. The reality is that we've become one of the most significant triggers. Think of the water flowing underground as a delicate, finely tuned system. We interfere with this system in two main ways, by adding water or by removing it. When we build new developments, we often create new drainage patterns like storm drains and retention ponds, which concentrate massive amounts of water into specific areas. This can accelerate the natural dissolution process below, acting like a targeted acid attack on the soluble rock. But even more dangerously, a broken water main or a leaking sewer pipe can unleash a torrent of water that washes away the supporting sediment beneath the surface, creating an instant void that the ground above can't sustain. On the flip side, large-scale groundwater pumping for agriculture or municipal use can be just as destructive. When we lower the water table, we remove the buoyant support for the underground arches, causing them to collapse under their own weight. This is a crucial, often overlooked fact. Sometimes the lack of water is as big a problem as too much of it. Now let's connect this to the bigger picture. Sinkholes are a key feature of karst landscapes. The myth is that this is just a specific problem for a few unlucky states. The reality is that these regions cover about 20% of the United States. Think about that. 1/5 of the country is built on this geologically unstable foundation. The formation of sinkholes is just one part of a much larger story. These landscapes are also characterized by features like underground streams that suddenly disappear, caves and springs. The interconnectedness of this system means that a sinkhole forming in one area can affect groundwater and surface water flow miles away. It also means that pollution is a massive concern. Since the water travels through these open conduits with little to no natural filtration, whatever goes into a sinkhole can quickly contaminate a drinking water supply. The apathetic approach to sinkholes is that they are isolated, rare occurrences. The surprising fact is that they are an integral part of an entire geological system that is both a source of life-giving water and a potential source of disaster. Think about the incredible forces at play, slowly but surely shaping our landscape. The myth is that the ground is static. The truth is it's constantly in flux. The slow dissolution of rock, the gradual shifting of soil. These are invisible processes that have been happening for millennia. But what if we could see these changes? What if we had a glimpse into the future? The field of geophysical surveying is doing just that. Using technologies like ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity surveys, geologists can essentially create an MRI of the ground, detecting underground voids and unstable areas before they collapse. This isn't just about avoiding a disaster. It's about understanding the subtle language of the Earth. By mapping the subsurface, scientists can pinpoint areas at high risk, inform urban planning, and even predict where new sinkholes might form. It's a move from a reactive approach to a proactive one, from simply reacting to collapses to actively preventing them. It's the ultimate race against a slow but powerful geological clock. This leads us to a crucial question. Are we just at the mercy of Mother Nature? The myth is that we can't do anything about them. The reality is we can, and we are. While we can't stop the natural geological processes, we can mitigate the human factors that accelerate them. This includes better urban planning to manage storm runoff, regulating groundwater pumping in vulnerable areas, and investing in old infrastructure like water and sewer lines that can trigger collapses. Take, for example, a city like Winter Park, Florida, which has a long history of sinkhole activity. After a massive collapse in the 1980s that swallowed a home, a car dealership, and several roads, the city became a pioneer in sinkhole research and mitigation. The lesson here is that understanding the science behind sinkholes is the first step towards living with them. They are not a random act of an angry Earth, but a predictable consequence of a specific set of geological conditions and often human interference. It is a cautionary tale, a powerful reminder that our actions, no matter how small, can have a domino effect on the seemingly stable world around us. If you've made it this far, you probably have a new appreciation for the ground beneath your feet. But before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world's most curious facts. And tell us in the comments below, what's the most bizarre or interesting fact you learned about sinkholes today? So remember, a sinkhole is not a flaw in the earth, but a window into a hidden world of caves and conduits carved by a simple, relentless chemical process. From the slow, subtle subsidence that goes unnoticed to the sudden, dramatic collapses that make headlines, these phenomena are a chilling reminder that the ground we stand on is a living, breathing part of a complex system. The next time you see a heavy storm, will you see it as just rain? Or will you hear the silent, patient work of a geological force that has been slowly shaping our planet for millions of years?